Well, hello there, folks. I know I'm a little bit early for today's stream, but let's be honest, I've been saying I want to show up early for a stream for the past few seasons, so this is going to be my first time actually following through with that. Although that said, we're only like 20 minutes early, so we're only going to have time to look at a couple matches, a couple replays from yesterday before we get started with our live match today, which will be Hayl versus Gaall. So hello everyone, welcome to the stream. First things first, before we jump into replays, why don't we take a look at the betting situation here? So this is a little bit easier to go over when there's only 8 players left. Although that said, as the playoffs wear on and on, the betting tends to get worse because there are less opportunities to pick up a good, valuable underdog bet. So first case, we have Q versus Absoul here, and this one to me is not a great bet because the odds favor Q by a huge amount, and I think Q is going to win that game. So if you bet for Q, the returns will be relatively small. Relatively safer chance of getting those returns, but the return on your, whatever it costs to buy a ticket, like 150,000, percentage-wise will be less. For anyone who didn't know, your return on your bets is actually influenced by the ratio of these odds. So the greater the disparity, like if Absoul were to win this, your return on your tickets would be much, much larger. So yeah, I don't think this is the greatest bet. On the other side, when this stream first started, I don't know if you noticed, but this was 241 to 241, so there are still bets taking place. And I actually think that this is a very even match, or potentially very even match. I do think Valabar has a slight edge and will probably come out on top. So the fact that it's so close and the betting is so close, I don't think this is the greatest bet either. The 7th Heaven match, like these guys are both 7th Heaven, there's a 1% chance this match even gets played. It's probably just going to be forfeited. And on the other side, we have Gaall versus Hayl here. Hayl is the one that I dropped my free ticket on just because this is the only game that actually has a little bit of a spread in the votes, where I think the match is very close. I think Gaall versus Hayl is a pretty close match. They play slightly different game styles, but I do think it's close to a coin flip on who's going to win this one. So given that fact and the fact that there's actually a little bit of a split in the voting, I think it's worth trying to risk a gamble on Hayl here. I wouldn't, buy a bunch of tickets for gold and dump them on Hayl, but with free tickets, if he's got a 50% chance to win and the return is better than 50% chance, then it's worth a free ticket. So that's my rationale there. And I know I said yesterday we wanted to dip into a couple of replays before we actually start. For today's game, we are going to watch that Hayl and Gaall game just because I think it's going to be close, so it'll be interesting to kind of see the ins and outs, to see who comes out on top. There's no sense in going back and watching these. But I did hear that the Sdao versus Absoul game was interesting, so why don't we just jump into that one first? I don't know that this will take too much time. So Absoul here is running a pretty standard looking meta box. I've commented on Joa and Connie every time I see them in a box, but they're becoming more and more meta. Like, I'm more surprised when I don't see them in a box now. These kinds of versatile, it's very interesting to see like Polyol and Joa and Connie, I guess Lena as well, who can kind of do a lot of things. On Sdao's side, Dehart is still alive. Sissy is in here as the only healer, and she's just useful from a utility point of view with her act again. Sdao's also got his Apotheosis in action. That's one thing to note, that Absoul has not activated Apotheosis yet, so maybe he didn't summon him all the way up to 6-star. I don't know the extent of Absol's whale status, so I'm not sure if he's really in for that. But we also have Elaine and Akka here. So Akka in here as an enabler for a rush. I know Sdao likes to play rush style. So we're on the shipwreck map, and let's just quickly cycle through the pick and ban here. Absoul, knowing he's going to be facing Rush, is looking to play a more tank-pushy style of box, prioritizing that Rosen Seal, making sure he has some healing and protection from AoE and debuffs. But then also picking Polyol. That's an interesting one because most people don't really think of Polyol as a unit that fits into a tank push box. But the reality is, when you're up against potentially an enemy Polyol and no healer and no debuff immunity, she can definitely put out a lot of damage, and her stuns can be really disruptive. And then you just kind of slow down the enemy rush by obliterating them. So Sdao getting that Aka activation in here. And yeah, the only way Sdao has to get around Absol's guard, if Absol just wants to push up, would be either closing down guard with the Gren Shield or with the guard ignore on Joa and Connie. Magistrate, you still have like 20 minutes to place your bets. The actual matches haven't started yet. I'm just going through a couple of replays from yesterday. Mass Attack and Dark Reaper on this Lina, so that's interesting. Really, the Dragon Slave is the kind of one long-range AoE that Absol thinks he's going to need there. Reaper gives her a little bit of sustain, and the Mass Attack, because she's the only person on this team who can actually buff Gintoki, for example. What do we have on Sdao's side? I wouldn't expect to see anything too surprising. Yeah, and single target as well on her, because having a single, one or two AoEs to try to go through that Rosen Seal is going to be tricky. Magistrate, you just missed my my betting discussion, like 3 minutes before this started. I think the Gaall and Hayl match is very evenly split. I think that one could go either way. I think that one could go either way, and I think the Valabar match could go either way, although I give the edge to Valabar. Okay. Oh, and a breeze on that Connie. Well, Sdao has the EOL skill on that Apotheosis as well. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised that anyone who's fielding Apotheosis this weekend probably spent EOL money to get him built up to a star level that they feel comfortable running him in the playoffs. Like, this is top 16, and if you're going to drop a new unit in your box, you want it to be totally jacked. With the 666 int as well. So he caught a breeze there. Which is really nice for a team like Sdao's to have breezes on almost all of your engagers. So here comes Joa. That's going to open up this AoE. Pretty big damage. Absol not concerned with healing it off yet, though, because he's got a Polyol to act. That just puts Polyol up front and center, pushes the Joa back, injures the Connie, but doesn't really impact the rest of Sdao's team, which I think Sdao's probably fine with. So, let's see what Apotheosis does. Takes Hilda's first life. I guess that's what a big bruiser single target attacker's meant to do. Okay, Dragon Slave into those injured units to finish them off. Really concerned about Joa and Connie. Grenshield doesn't need to worry about planting that shield directly on Hilda if she thinks she can just kill off Hilda's second life, so that makes sense as well. But this reactivated Gintoki, is he just going to be able to take the trade on Grenshield? Yes. So now we have Akka back here not really doing too much. Polyal's first life is down. And we basically have an injured and overcommitted Apotheosis here. I shouldn't say overcommitted, but committed. Hey, Akka did something. So Gintoki reactivates. That should be enough to finish off Apotheosis. Oh, well, finish off his first life at least. Sdao still with turn priority, so he's going to try to do something here against Lina. Does not quite get the kill, unfortunately. That's going to allow Absol time to get set back up with his Lina. Gintoki, finish off this Apotheosis. And now we're basically left with a Gintoki and Lina versus Ed Ankelmo. I know I'm showing no respect for the Akka. This is his way of rescuing Ed Ankelmo. Or I thought it was. I guess he didn't bring that. I thought he was going to use the act again. It teleports, it swaps your position with the wolf, but I guess he didn't have it. Well, that's what that is. Oh, but she hasn't already acted. That shouldn't matter. I mean, that just means you don't get the act again, but the teleport should still work. Bestial Outbreak. He used Wild Power instead. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe it was Reach. Yeah, anyway. Ed Ankelmo being back here as the only unit against a Gintoki. I don't know, this is rough. Just an unfortunate sequence of trading for Sdao. This is one of the reasons, I mean, Sdao is much more accomplished at this style than I am, but one of the reasons I don't really care for this style is because having a unit like Akka in my box, I don't know, I just don't believe in Akka. So you end up with her on your team, and, you know, she's got a couple tricks up her sleeve, but then once you're... she's not gonna, like, contribute to the trading or the DPS as much as real units. Yeah, Lord is saying the same thing in the chat. Akka is pretty much why Sdao lost both games. Basically 5v4 in both games. So, did they make any swaps? Sdao, no. Happy to stick with his Ape strategy as player 1. Absol just dropped Lostum and brings up Agnes. Which is a good trade. I mean, this is a nice map for Lostum, but as player 2, having Agnes up here for a little bit of extra protection is nice. Sdao going with the first pick of Lina. That's interesting. I am curious who the players in this round decided to invest their additional casting levels into. Because there's only enough resources to probably buoy like a couple of units or really sink into almost maxing one unit. I guess if they wailed, maybe they could max a unit. But I wonder who they decided to do that for. Maybe someone, if they did the research, could tell from the stats, but I wouldn't know just from looking at stats. So we've got Akka again. Of course, Sdao going with his usual strategy of full foot on the gas pedal. Polyal here. Polyal, tricky pick against Rosenseal. She just doesn't do too much other than brute damage. The other thing you often see people do with Polyal against a tank and a Rosenseal is bring her big push skill, which is a little bit more effective than just her damage explosion skill because she can maybe get some displacement, especially against Lightbringer as your tank. Okay. So let's see what's going to happen. Sdao with the EOL skill on Lina as well. I didn't realize Sdao was as big a spender as this. Absoul is a strong player too. So yeah, like Lord is saying, it's more difficult to catch someone like Absoul off guard with this kind of strategy. I guess I just don't have the pause button anymore. Where's my pause button, game? I can't click on anything. Okay, did I do something to make that go away? It's kind of annoying because I wanted to check stats. But maybe the game knows that the playoffs are starting in 8 minutes and it doesn't want me to dick around. The game is like, no, you don't have time to stop and look at stats. You've got a game coming up. In any case, let's rapid fire look at this. Okay, Lina comes in for the explosion. Okay, leaves Absol's units pretty hurt. See, if that was able to actually one-shot some of those units, then it wouldn't really matter that Absoul could heal it off. But he can. He can now because his units survived. Leo Smart, welcome to the chat. Fellow Strategy Squad member and streamer. Good to have you here. Watching a game that I literally can't pause or stop or click on any units at all. Actually. Oh, Vermilion, you say that was just Arcane Blast. Bear in mind, Arcane Blast is her huge crit damage skill. It's not like a second tier, second choice skill. Dragon Slave might have gotten a couple kills there, though. I mean, Lina's an AoE threat regardless, which is why she has that kit. Let's see if Apotheosis is going to be able to charge in and do anything. I see we've got Lightbringer with the new Fang Guards, who seemed pretty OP in Hayl's games yesterday. The tail end of which we got to see. We got to see the end of Game 2. And pretty much what we're seeing here is, yeah, Sdao's units just running in one by one, and Absoul taking care of them as the need arises. So Elaine gets her double attack here. Does finish off both Lightbringer lives, but it's too little too late, right? All you've got left is a hurt Elaine up here, which should be easy pickings for Ed Ankelmo's magic. And then just Akka in the Baka again. Akka in the Baka against 3 strong DPS. Wow. Interesting. That's a tricky strat. Like Lord said, it's a hard strat to adapt to playoffs where your opponents basically know in advance what your units look like, what kind of strategy you're going to play. Right, Lord talking about playing a little more patiently. I mean, there's a difference between Ape and Rush as well, too, right? Rush is happy to position around the margins, position maybe in the fog, wait for breezes, wait for turn 2 when you can close the gap a little bit, and get a good opportunity. Ape wants to go in as fast as possible, take the opponent off guard, maybe get a kill, and be okay with trading your unit because it opens up a weakness in your opponent. And to be fair, Sdao came pretty close to opening up a weakness in Absol in Game 2 at least, with that big Lina explosion. But without being opened up, Absol was able to just accommodate and then take care of things as they came at him. So we only have 4 minutes left for replays before the actual live game starts, so why don't we take a quick look at Hayl's Game 1 versus Kazgao. This is from yesterday. Is this from yesterday? Yeah, it was Kazgao yesterday. So we saw the end of Game 2, and we saw Hayl's strategy with 2 tanks with Vanguards. So let's take a quick look at Game 1, since we missed this one. And I have a pause button now, at least. I'm scared to press it, though, because I don't want to scare it away. So let's just let this one play out. I think we kind of know what we're getting in this match anyway. So yeah, we've got 2 healers, 2 tanks. And was it an Archon? Yeah, and an Archon as his main DPS. I'm not going to write Ledden off as not being a DPS quite yet. Get this faction buff set up. Really, at this point, I think DPS is the correct way to run Ledden. Especially with, I mean, they gave him a long-range kidnap. Frightening troops. And we know that Hayl's Ledden is also able to take advantage of the revive from his sweet exclusive hammer. We saw that yesterday. Hopefully we'll see more good Ledden action today when the live match comes on. Yeah, this is another match where I really wonder what that Polyol is supposed to do against not only a Rosen, but an Elma as well. Like, this water is only there to try to slightly slow down some of Hayl's units. And basically, I mean, McLean can guard ignore. He's not going to one-shot Rosen. Archon has a revive. Your Adank Elmo AoE is going to do nothing, and then you have to single-target eat through Landius and Ledden. So it's tricky to begin with. So here we've got Ledden's big kidnap. Very respectable damage against McLean's first life. Pulling McLean off water would be an interesting strategy as well. Okay, Archon finishes off the first life. Easy, without committing skills. Oh, but Archon runs out of guard in order to do that, and loses his first life as well, to a nice little cherry pick there. Archon not worrying about pulling or anything, he's just gonna smoke that McLean. Finish him off. Archon should be guarded by that Ledden now. It doesn't matter, he's getting sucked back into the warm embrace of the Ledden and Landius. So far we have a trade of McLean for... 1 Archon life, I guess. And the real match is starting now, but let's let this one finish out. We'll just join the real match like a minute into pick and ban. Unless this goes to like turn 12. But it's playing pretty quickly, so we're only going to miss a little bit of pick and ban. So here's a big explosion that's not going to do any lasting damage to Hayl's team. Polyol's just running back and forth, to try to figure out something to do. She has not contributed at all yet. I mean, I guess Kazgao at this point could be looking to clamp down on center and win by damage, because he does still have a tank, he does still have Rosenseal, and he can put out some good damage with Polyol just AoEing for purely scoreboard purposes. But in order to do that, he basically needs to survive Leaden Displacement, potential Archon Displacement, although those things become harder to pull off as the fog moves in. So blocking Hayl out and winning on damage seems to be the go-to play here at this point. Alright, this is a Polyol kidnap strategy. Grab one unit and drag her back. I've seen Kazgao do this a couple times. He likes these sneaky little positional plays with Poly. So Kazgao still with a good grip on mid here, able to take out the Rosenseal. And with that Rosenseal down and Kazgao up in damage, I mean, Hayl still has a healer, but he's not in mid right now, and things are looking good for Kazgao here. Hayl's got his back to the fog. Kazgao just dumping out more damage. It gets healed off, but it's going on the scoreboard at least. Alright, Leaden kidnaps Rosenseal into the fog. She's going to be guarded by the Landius, but she's also not exactly going to have an easy time getting back in. Can she reach this portal? I guess not, hence her just casting and dying from there. So yeah, Leaden pulling someone out into the fog is a nice move. We're seeing a couple interesting little kidnaps. Oh, right, after kidnap, when you're stuck beside Leaden, you can't move. That's right. So both Kazgao and Hayl relying on sneaky pulling. Pulling and pushing. And swapping. Poor Landius, just standing there not guarding. And Leaden just right into Kazgao's armpit to continue being annoying. So Landius comes in, figures he might as well throw some annoying damage down on Landius. Wow, is this literally going to be Leaden soloing the rest of Kazgao's team? If so, I've got to say, that's Vanguards doing some work right there, with that sweet, sweet infantry attack. Okay, so this should finish off Kazgao's Landius. And then there's going to be 2 lives on this Polyol, but she's basically easy pickings for Hayl's 3 units. Yeah, Jugler has a kind of form of it, although he doesn't see much play. Not like Emmerich and Yulia do either. Alright, very entertaining game 1. Yeah, Leaden was a power player there. Let us go and catch back up on the actual live game. The reason we're all here. That was, I think, important context for what we're about to see, though. Yeah, sure enough, 7th Heaven is all forfeiting into their one guy. which everyone expected except for the 500 people who voted on that match for some odd reason. They just get their tickets back, and no money. Okay, we caught just the tail end of pick and ban. Gaall as player 1, we're on the floating courtyard, and Hayl has pretty much the same stuff that he was playing around with yesterday. We've got 2 tanks, Lightbringer and Leaden. We've also got 2 healers, Liana and Elma, and we've got an IBC there for good measure. So no Rosenseal, but Elma maybe should be able to pick up the slack for that. Gaall, for his side, has a slightly more traditional approach here with the Lightbringer and the Rosenseal. We've also got Grenshiel, who is going to attempt to pry open Hayl's team, but that's difficult against 2 tanks. So that may be a tricky strategy for Gaall to set up for. And we also have Lina here, who's going to see what she can do against double tank. I mean, we saw a really scary situation with Sdao's Lina almost wiping Absol's team, but Absol was able to survive it. And if Absol was able to survive it, I feel like Hayl's super bulky team is probably going to be able to survive it as well. And then finally we have Sword of Light and Shadow here, who could theoretically kill Hayl's tanks. Although that said, Sword of Light and Shadow attacking into Leaden is a frightening prospect, so we will see if anything extra entertaining happens on that front. Basically, seeing anyone get counter-killed by this Leaden will be entertaining. Some nice auras there to help Leaden as well. Yeah, Guardian Infantry. Possibly there to... in the hopes of, like, surviving a Leaden kidnap, maybe? Because she's not worried about getting attacked by any of these other DPS. She's going to be under guard, theoretically, so, like, IBC's not going to be smoking her with horses. But she is potentially going to get sucked out of guard range by this Leaden, so maybe he's hoping that Guardian Infantry helps protect against that. Cobra, yes, we're not sure quite yet, but the chances are pretty high that we're going to see some Deaden gaming. All of Hayl's games yesterday were Deaden 101, so we're hoping for a Deaden 201 day today. I shouldn't say hoping, because I don't really have a horse in this race. I don't really personally prefer if Hayl or Gaall advance. I think they're both good players. Hayl's on main court, he's like a main court champ. Gaall is a member of Mystery, which is a popular PvP-focused guild. Arguably the best PvP guild in the game right now. Yep, Gaall is usually a top contender. He's a very solid player for sure. Double DPS on the IBC. Makes sense, everyone's covered. Except for poor Liana, who's not holy. So yeah, we've got Slave and Arcane Blast. So, to your point, Lord, there's not going to be any ST killing of anyone with this Lina, other than with normal attacks. She's a Guardian Infantry, all AoE Lina. Everything else looking pretty normal. These Phalanx are also ready to get bullied by Fanguards. Yeah. I mean, focusing on solely AoE, maybe Gaall was just so pumped that he got rid of the Rosen Seal that he thought potentially overpower with AoE, but you're right, Elma with the candle is difficult to AoE through as well. And the only potential guard ignore is with the Gren Shield planted, and it seems unlikely that Hayl is going to... Although in Game 2 yesterday, we did see Hayl open up his 2 tanks to get a Gren Shield planted right between them. So, the possibility of a misposition from Hayl, it's, this map is a little bit of a dual-edged sword with that, because you can't protect on the sky tiles unless you have a flying unit, so it's possible for Gren Shield to throw down on the sky tiles. It's a little bit tricky to maneuver your team in this map. Hayl has been around. Hayl's been in the mix. He's a perennial playoff player. Hasn't really made any super deep runs. I think this is probably about as deep as Hayl has gotten. But he's kind of gone through ups and downs where earlier in his career he was really dedicated to like turtle strategy playing, and that was kind of what he was known for, is just like playing bulk teams, which carried him well through the regular season, but then didn't really carry him very well in playoffs because you know who you're up against, so people just tailored their boxes to suit fighting against him. Yeah. He's been seeded, though, for the past couple seasons. Like, he's ended the regular season in the top 16. His run last season was ended with an unfortunate matchup against a player who just has his number. An overpowered and really strategically intelligent player closed out his season in the first round. But this season he bounced back and he's made a deep run, so... Okay, Gren Shield catching a breeze there, which is theoretically helpful. But Hayl has this tight formation that the Gren Shield's not really going to be able to shut anyone down meaningfully. At least quite yet. No, illegitimate, that player's name was John Cena. John Cena was piloting the account anyway. I think anyone who's been watching this channel for more than one stream knows that that was an extremely tongue-in-cheek way of describing myself. Usually, I'm a little bit more honest about my PvP prowess or lack thereof. I have fun, though. I have fun in PvP. Okay, so Hayl can stay boxed up like this. He is eventually going to need to start moving into the mid because that fog is going to catch up with him, and he needs to be careful that when he moves in that he doesn't expose both of his tanks to the Gren Shield. The other thing Gren Shield can do here is, even if she's not actually shutting down tanks, she can just throw her shield down somewhere in the mix. I'm pointing at the screen with my actual finger instead of the pointer. She can throw the Gren Shield down somewhere in the mix to just slow down Hayl's units and make it more difficult for him to escape the fog. So that's something Hayl has to watch out for as well. Although, that said, this was the map that Game 2 was fought on yesterday, so Hayl does have recent experience with this kind of team comp on this map. So he'll be looking out for, you know, positioning around the pillars here where Gren Shield can throw the sword down on the pillars. Maybe a little bit more careful about that. You know, if Ledden goes here, 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 those are all places where Hayl can have both of his tanks shut down. So he's more likely to want to go adjacent to Lightbringer with his tank. But he can't expose his backline units quite yet either, because Grenshiel could just use her Act Again as an Act Again. She's not breezed anymore, though. He used to be in your guild, Magistrate. Where did he go? Is he, did he get sniped by Namida now for first place Dimensional Expedition guarantees after the merge? That's a good point, Lord. If Hayl does beat Gaall to the middle, then the pressure is on even more for Gaall to be able to crack into him. Otherwise, he risks just being on the fringes while the fog comes in. Potentially hoping to catch a breeze off that. I don't know if this is on Tenyo or Electric. But if she had a breeze, she could have potentially come in and sneaked one of these healers, but no sense in contemplating that since it's not meant to be. When Dimensional Expedition comes back in a few months, it is going to be quite interesting because my guild, who's been first place on Rhaegar Dalsis Rocky Valley for 5 seasons in a row, is now on the same server as Sinister and Namida's guild. So it's going to be interesting to see how the leaderboards look. Even though my guild has won 5 seasons in a row, I will say we're not exactly super competitive. It was more the server being kind of soft. So a bunch of our people have quit too, and also hate Dimensional Expeditions, so we may kind of phone it in next time. Yeah, exactly, and not play as hard as we did in the past. I really get the feeling that Gaall is waiting and hoping for Hayl to shoot himself in the foot with awkward tank positioning here. So as long as Hayl is paying attention to that, it is going to be difficult for Gaall to get in. That said, like Captain Okafa has said in the chat, Gaall has been around for a very long time as a very good strategic player. So he knows that he's up against the ropes a little bit here as well. He's got a plan. We've just got to see if it works. Yeah, Z2, not going to be enough to kill both tanks. And to be honest, if the positioning doesn't open up on Hayl's side, then Grenshiel's purpose is probably just going to be to smoke a tank. So if we're single target comboing down a tank with the Zerida and the Grenshiel, maybe Gaall can make something happen there. Okay, Hayl staying in the doorway. It does become an awkward map for a move like Ledden's Kidnap. Once the walls close in and you're stuck in mid, I mean, we saw in the last game he can at least use his Kidnap to swap a unit onto a fog tile and make it more difficult for them to get back in. I remember using Transcender pull moves on this map and thinking it was just aggravating to try to, you know, get good terrain or get good distance to be able to do shenanigans like that. Transcender is going to be in my box again for regular season this season. In fact, I'm contemplating casting Transcender up to 10. So if you run into my very obviously Kong myth box in the regular season and you see Transcender, you know he's going to be scary powerful. Yeah, do we have any way of re-buffing up that Grenshiel other than just Miracle? And Strengthen. If he wants to strengthen her before he goes in. I mean, the Leden's Vanguards have almost 18,000 hit points, so that's definitely a thing. Also reflect damage, which is a bit more damage. That can help them defensively as well if it's able to kill off a troop. Oh no, Transcender's not the Anniversary Mage. Transcender is the Gizaroff with abs. He's a terrible unit, let's be frank. He's one of the not as great units. I don't want to say worst, but one of the not as great units in the game. I just like his design, so I built him up. He's this guy. He's kind of my channel mascot. Anyway, I'm back. The Q match getting interesting, eh? Oh, we'll have to go back and check that one out. If this match ever finishes. So thanks for keeping us posted on the Q match. Transcender versus Tormilk. Yeah, Kyutaru, I have to admit, with these double Gates of Fate weeks, I've been very tempted to build up Tormilk as well to go into the old Myth meme box. I mean, she is Myth. And she is a meme. She would fit fairly well. Well, there is Hayl not burning AA. I mean, I guess he could do it now. He just needs to do something before Lena's next turn. Yeah, that's a very interesting strategy from Gaall. Nice respectable damage, too. So here's the act again. Elma theoretically going to take care of IBC here. Back up to 96%. Let's see if Gaall tries anyway. Gaall might be feeling the pressure here now. Getting that miracle on, knowing that an assault is coming. Gotta get your miracle buff ready. Because the fog is on you now. There's no way to just hide behind. You're gonna be engaging. Might as well have 15% damage. IBC's back up to full, though. Full buffing turn from Gaall. Soda, you've got 6 tickets on Hayl, huh? He had good odds. I didn't buy tickets, and I didn't save tickets, so I just had my one free one from today. Soda rocking that subscriber badge as well. Generously gifted by Rice Crew, I believe. Don't worry, Cucumber, you get to save your tickets for next week. So you can bet next week if you want to. I have a feeling the betting game is probably not going to be as good next week just because there are fewer players and there'll be either blowouts or a bit more even strength, so not as many opportunities to make bank off underdogs. Hey, the Lord thy God, topping up his Prime sub. Thank you, Lord. If anyone else has a Prime sub sitting around and wants to use it, now's the time. Would be very grateful. Sadly, one of my big streaming series is not exactly over, but has kind of come to an end just because I've finished getting top score on all the Ancient Beckoning bosses. So I don't foresee myself running Ancient Beckoning again in the near future until I get units cast up to level 10. Then I'll run all the bosses again. But maybe I'll just stream Ancient Beckoning like on other accounts or on viewer accounts or something later on after Christmas. I'll decide what I'm gonna do after the holiday. Yeah, we do kind of have an opening for Grenshiel here. Shutting down the Lightbringer allows, like, these 3 units in the back aren't being guarded right now, but there's not really much potential to get in just because the fog is blocking Liana off. Okay, Liana's under guard now. It's really only her. She doesn't know where to go either, except for, like, around Lightbringer. So shutting down Lightbringer guard, maybe is an effective can opener for Gaall. We'll have to see. I mean, he has her action available. Raven dropping that Prime sub, thank you. Going to erase the Lord Thy God's short-lived, and it is enough to get the Elma, so that's fine. I mean, that is progress. The Zeraball, unfortunately, is dead this turn, so that's not going to help Gaall. The fog is going to wipe that off. But putting Hayl down to only 1 healer, as the game goes on, is going to make it a little bit more tricky for Hayl to pick things up. So the other thing is, Grenshiel is exposed out here, but the only real DPS, I mean, I guess you kind of could count Deaden. If IBC wants to come around to try to kill this shielded Grenshiel, she has to leave Leden's guard and go to a Lightbringer who's not currently guarding thanks to this Grenshield. So the positioning is getting awkward for Hayl. You know, if she leaves the comfortable nest of Leden's guard, then Gaall does have actual DPS who can counter that. Well, I guess Deaden does not have his guard up anyway. He was just using his passive square guard. So an attempt was made on the Liana. I don't think this is hurt enough for Gaall's follow-up to be able to finish her off, though. Not that it matters. Lightbringer has retreated beyond the range of the Gren shield, so she'll be guarding again. Oh yeah, that's a good point too, Venorion. She wouldn't have been able to get around anyway. The point was, overall, that Gaall didn't need to be afraid of this. I mean, she doesn't need to move now. She could just attack from where she is. That was really just bringing Lightbringer in to heal up the Gren shield. Not quite to 100%, sadly. She doesn't have her shield either, though she is on terrain. That's the only kind of thing she has going for her here on the pillar. Also, Gaall really positioning quite nicely here to start closing Hayl off and splitting up the tanks. So if Ledden wants to come in, he's either got to go to one of these non-center positions, or he's got to go beside the Gren shield. That said, he could also, I mean, he could go... Well, anywhere he goes, he's going to suck people into that Lightbringer guard range, too. Ledden has not kidnapped anyone yet, no. Okay, this is the best place for Ledden to attempt to kidnap, because the only place the enemy can beam to is, yeah, behind lines into the fog. So that's pretty good damage on that Lightbringer, too. And she's now effectively out of the action. She has no way to get back in. Hayl has her nicely walled off, and now the rest of Gaall's units are up here just unguarded. IBC is also unguarded, or actually, does that put up his guard? I forget what launches his guard now. The duel. Does the duel turn his guard on? What turns his guard on? Oh, he's beside the sword anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, the Gren shield is still there. So IBC is exposed. She can't move to get around into Lightbringer guard either, so she's just a sitting duck. So this is the point where Gaall is going to hope that it's okay that his Lightbringer got sucked out into the fog, because he's hopefully not going to need her anymore. That said, we saw this exact same situation in Hayl's game yesterday, where he was left with only Lightbringer and Ledden on this map, and, you know, just having a couple of lone tanks doesn't seem like a great situation to be in. But when they're bulky and self-sustaining and they can put out a lot of good damage, it can potentially be scary. Thank you, Vermilion. Yes, the 3C. So the 3C is what turns his guard on. Yeah, Lightbringer is stuck. And Ledden is really stuck. Hayl is completely fogged. He only has a Liana. I mean... Yeah, this... No, he can't get out. There's no way. That's a fun one. So there, Gaall, I think, actually played with a lot of patience and strategic attention to detail in that game. And like I said kind of at the start, using the Gren shield in a really nice position to make it not even so much to shut down Hayl's guard, although he did make good use out of that as well. just to slow Hayl down and make it impossible for him to outpace the fog. Now we're going to see if either player makes a change to the lineup. I fully expect Hayl not to make any changes. He may if he feels frustrated by that last game and wants to mix it up and go back to his full rush box. He was playing rush earlier in the season and he really liked throwing lots of DPS. I don't know if he's going to feel comfortable doing that, but if he does do it, maybe it'll just be out of a kind of knee-jerk reaction to the fact that it's like 2 in the morning where he is right now, and the fact that he's upset about losing game 1. We'll see if he makes any rash moves here with his side box. Now we'll see if Gaall wants to make any adjustments based on the map or the fact that he's player 1 as well. Yeah, Zuko, Gaall has always been one of those players who's just really composed and tactical. Really like watching Gaall's games. I remember in a really early season he eliminated Tristan, and that's when he first kind of got onto our radar. Yeah, Raven, everyone in the house is asleep, including Hayl. Okay, no adjustments from Hayl. That's probably for the best. He's going to stick with the strategy that he's committed to, not make any rash decisions. Gaall, the only change is dumping this Autocrato, which I thought he's kind of an interesting pick in this box anyway. And bringing up Lostum, who is really good on this map. So that's just some exerted Dan pick pressure. So Hayl forcing a tank pick here, and also getting rid of the 2 DPS he definitely doesn't want to face. Oboro and AO. Gaall totally fine with getting Rosen Seal and Lightbringer, and then it just remains to be seen what DPS Hayl leaves him with. Hayl definitely does not want to go out without that Leaden, though. He's enjoying the dynamic playmaking. Unfortunately, I think it was really the map that screwed him last game. It's tough to do anything too dramatic with Leaden on that map. This map's a little more open. There's more room for shenanigans. Okay, interesting to see Gaall not giving him the Leaden plus Lightbringer combo here. When that happens, Hayl likes to usually try to pick Landius. Maybe not third pick Landius, but that's who he'll hone in on to try to pick up eventually in this match. Yeah, I agree, Captain. One nice thing about Gaall still being around too is that Gaall plays Gaall's account, so you know it's Gaall playing. Oh, interesting. Hayl going to go for Christian instead of, hopefully instead of the Landius. If he gets Landius too, that's going to be a very interesting team comp. But this is potentially a preemptive pick, anticipating Lina coming out, just to help reduce Lina's damage, the magic damage even more. Instead, Gaall locks down an assassin. Is Lostum going to be able to assassinate whichever 1 DPS Hayl ends up with here? So who is Hayl's 1 DPS of choice going to be? Is it going to be IBC again? Is it going to be Adankelmo? It is going to be IBC. I think Lostum kills IBC. All right, I like the Polyol pick. We may see fighting Kidnapper with Kidnapper. We saw Kazgao try that against Hayl yesterday, in game 1 at least, with a sneaky Polyol 3C backwards to drag one unit into range of the other DPS, so that's something that Polyol can do. And Hayl with more or less the exact same comp as last time, just with Christian instead of Lightbringer. So I think for Gaall's side, yeah, he is bringing Sandseas. So did she. I think Gaall killing the IBC is an option. Gaall also learned his lesson and brought the horses on Lightbringer, knowing that Hayl was going to stack up his units with these Fang Guards. Absolutely knowing it. Yeah, so we have the 2 displacement moves on Polyol here. Look forward to some truly big brain plays there. That's Gaall, knowing that he's not going to really be able to make debuffs stick to this team. Oh, we're going in right away with Lost Him. Just to stun the Ledden, I guess. I mean, he knew Ledden was guarding there. That's just to throw Hayl off his pace. We may see a follow-up kill on Ledden next turn. I actually like that move. Hey, Moondoggy, welcome to the chat. You missed game 1. Actually, game 1 was a real nice strategic game. You'd be proud of your boy. You'll have to watch it afterwards. Yeah, I like that move. Getting the jump on Hayl and just, like, slowing down. Getting Ledden out of the action for a little bit. I don't know if it'll necessarily frazzle Hayl, but it definitely puts him off his pace. Like, he's not able to truly get set up this turn. Lord, it may have been that Gaall knows his 3C on Lost Him is basically... I mean, he's not going to be able to get meaningful stuns with it, so he may as well chuck it out now before Liana's 3C and Elma's Mirror Shield get thrown up on the tanks. Just to, like, get the skill used. May also give Gaall like 1 turn of setup. No Good Brit, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the chat. Well, I also saw there was a follower just before No Good Brit, with a potentially Korean username that I couldn't read. Let me see if I can figure it out. Because it's a little bit racist of me to not thank you just because I have no hope of pronouncing your name. Dalsis Maru? Let me know if that was horribly butchered. But thank you for the follow, either way. And don't forget to use your free Amazon Prime subs. If you leave them unsubbed, it's just money in Bezos' pockets. Might as well be money in poor Kong and Applesauce's pockets. Dino Dance. Okay, thank you. That was, Oh, that's such a cute emote. I want to steal it for my channel. What I need is like a dancing Doberman emote on my channel. Okay, so Ledden is back up to health, but still stunned for this turn, sadly. So Hayl, I mean, to be fair, I think Hayl was planning on clustering up far enough back anyway, so this doesn't necessarily slow him down any more than he was already going to be slow. But Gaall's units also aren't the fastest, so maybe that gives him an opportunity to kind of creep up for one extra turn. I think Gaall is a bit more confident in his team and setup this game, too. Alright, Ledden's back. Ledden's back in action. Here he comes. Hayl loves these units. He has them on, he puts them on all of his tanks, no matter what. They are also the only new unit of the new batch that I've seen so far. In the limited number of playoff games that I've watched. Right, that's the thing, Moondoggy. Ledden is bringing the community together around Hayl. To be fair, though, I think the crap that Ledden gets on main chord is more of a meme than people actually thinking he's bad. I think it's more like one of those running gags that people just glom onto and say shit about him even if they don't necessarily believe it. Alright, a breeze on the polyol. Yeah, I mean, maybe he's bad, maybe he's not as good as other options, but I don't think he's like... At least with Hayl's box, I don't think he's actively a liability when he gets picked. No, that's true, Lord. We haven't seen that. I mean, the closest thing I guess we've seen is this lost him 3C'ing the Ledden, and he brought it down to what, like 30% HP just with his 3C? And Lostum's not exactly renowned for tank busting. So if you're using a real tank buster DPS against that Ledden... Easy kill on the candle. Lostum gets back to guard range as well. I do not know what Hayl's build is, Moondoggy. Someone who's not currently in a match can probably go scope him. I can't tell based on the stats. I see some people on the Discord are having trouble paying for things on the PC client. Very interesting. Has anyone in the chat had that problem? I don't play on the PC client, so don't run into those kinds of issues. Alright, Lord confirming that it is a paper meteor build. So yeah, literally being run as a legit pure DPS. He's not even really in the game to tank. He'll just tank through whatever sheer incidental bulk he brings by virtue of being Lidden. Zerda jumping into the Zeraball courtesy of that dead candle. And who's her target? I guess Liana is open, right? Because Ledden is only passive guarding right now. So Liana not being guarded? That should be an easy kill for Zerda, who kills much bulkier units than Liana on a regular basis. Now maybe we will see how much damage this Ledden takes on a counterattack after kidnapping that Zerda. Oh, Hayl is currently posting in main chord, wondering why his Glory of the World didn't trigger on his Liana. I have a feeling Hayl already seeded this game, given the fact that he's in main chord chatting, and we're just dealing with stream delay. So stay tuned for the concede or a move that makes him lose. He might be mad. He says, I misplayed that game so badly. 2 tanks and left a unit unguarded. Typical. Oh, Sword Soul. Yep. It must be the Sword Soul, yep. Here you go, Lord. Half-dead Zerda into Ledden and easy kill. Very nicely played from Gaall. Very nicely played. Do we have any games still on? Someone said the Q game was getting interesting, but if that results in just Q winning, yeah, that doesn't sound too interesting to me. 1,500 people thought he was going to win, so we're going to have... okay, we still have Valabar versus SuperBigCup on. Before we analyze the semifinals, let's go catch the tail end of this game. Might as well watch live TV while we have it, right? Okay, just in time for Game 3, so winner take all, sudden death. Gold Magistrate has 12 tickets on Valabar. We've got a couple changes to the boxes. So SuperBigCup has brought up Oboro. Going with first pick Rosenseal. The rest of the box looks fairly familiar to the other kinds of boxes that we've been seeing, other than D-Heart being in here instead of, like, Joa and Connie. And then on Valabar's side, we have some interesting Player 2 subs going on here. Taking out his Oboro and his Oboro buffer, bringing up Sagni, Joa and Connie, and his Sissy White. The AO is banned. Gives him the option to go with a Rosen pick if he wants, but Valabar's currently deciding if he wants to go with the Rosen pick, or if he wants to kind of counterplay what is certain to be SuperBigCup's tank push comp. Sometimes you'd see a Grenshiel here. Gonna lose all your money, Gold Magistrate? I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, we're in Game 3. Okay, so far it's Rosen. Yeah, we're in Game 3. I mean, these players are evenly matched. I think Valabar has the slight edge still against SuperBigCup. Moondoggy only been subbed for 5 months. Well, thank you 5 times in a row for your service. You went to cook some rice. Yeah, game 2 in the Gaall and Hayl match was relatively quicker. Gaall found an opening, exploited it expertly, and then Hayl had nothing left and just threw in the towel. Hayl still had a few units left, but he wasn't going to be able to make anything happen with them. So he thought he'd get out early. Probably also being 2 AM is a factor there. Okay, tank of choice for SuperBigCup is going to be the Christian. Oh, don't get me wrong, Cucumber. The game 2 was a little bit quicker, but it was still interesting. Like, we still got to see some great strategic thinking from Gaall. So definitely either rewatch that part of the VOD, or go back and watch the game on your Lang client to see what happened. I think it's worth rewatching that one. Okay, so far both players have picked their Rosen Seals and their tank of choice. This is going to be one of those games, isn't it? Valabar really thinking. Down to 14 seconds of backup time on the 3rd round of pick ban. Wow, and SuperBigCup gets the Oboro against a Rosen and tank comp. That's going to be a potentially dangerous Oboro. There's no guard ignore here other than Grenshiel. And AoE is going to be a difficult prospect, at least against Rosen Seal. Still possible, but difficult. Lord already calling it at round 3 of pick and ban. Doesn't look good for Valabar. I don't think we can totally write off Valabar quite yet, because it's still possible. I would want to ban Lightbringer here, though. Just... yeah, no. Okay, SuperBigCup. The taking Lightbringer 4th is really smart here, because the only strategy really open for Valabar there, especially with big chonky units like Gintoki and Apotheosis, would be just to eat through this Christian. But now with a backup tank as well, that's going to be pretty difficult, and we can kind of rely on this Oboro to slowly get transformed and then carry the game. So unless something surprising happens here... Lena coming out just for good measure. Yeah, Valabar has no real choice but to go with another DPS. Trying to hammer through 2 tanks is rough. I mean, theoretically, yeah, Valabar knows whether this Christian is infantry or cav already. If he's done scouting and SuperBigCup has not tried to mix things up from yesterday. The skill upgrade thing, I believe, is only a thing for the personal dimensional expedition mode. I don't think that takes effect in the rest of the game. I could be wrong. I have not really looked into what that's all about, but it sounds like a mode-specific thing. Okay, so I think we kind of got the feel of this pick and ban here. Yeah, Valabar, Moondoggy Valabar might have the option to try to fog out SuperBigCup, but he's going to have to be doing that while eating hits from Oboro. Okay, so we've got Horse and Emergency DPS on Lightbringer. 3C on the Rosen. Def Command, interesting. So no fast transform for this Oboro. Accelerated Aid and Air Slash on Apotheosis. Sword Soul on the Gin. It's going to be, yeah, double single target on this Sagni. So yeah, Valabar is going to be trying to load up as much damage as possible on his tank of choice to whittle a tank down, ideally before Oboro gets into play in the next 4 turns. Illegitimate, I don't think that was a mistake, though. I think that's more a case of SuperBigCup knows that he's not going to have time to sit there and get all 4 stacks on that Oboro, so he might as well sit on defensive terrain and transform when he needs to. Hey Bakira, welcome to the stream. What names do you love seeing still at Lang? Valabar or SuperBigCup? Bakira, were you always a SuperBigCup fan? Oh yeah, tons of time. Moondoggy and the Lord. They're not going anywhere. And another Apotheosis EOL skin. We've seen many EOLs on Apotheosis month. I guess it's the playoff skew, because we're watching high-rank players, and they figure they're going to get Apotheosis in the box. He's going to make a difference for them. Those are going to be the people who are spending on this banner, right? Oh yeah, the Lord... Getting it by accident by buying casting mats doesn't sound too accidental to me if you're buying casting mats. That is something that I am not purchasing. It's gonna be a slow grind. Might as well slow grind it. Yeah, I feel you, illegitimate. My casting money went to my new camera. Which will be used to take pictures of my kids. Okay, we are just at about the point where Valabar is going to be looking to make inroads on one of these tanks. His target of choice is Lightbringer. Because that was who he could reach. So Big Cup just has the one healer. He also has some off-healing from Lightbringer. That's not quite enough to finish off that Lightbringer's first life. Yeah, close, eh, Moondoggy? Or Lord? Akira got me shook. You guys are both the same person in my brain now. Okay, so Lightbringer, she's the first healing action. Brings her back up to 66% on her first life. So he has 2 more true DPS. He can also just throw some damage with Lightbringer if he wants. A few Templars, a handful of Templars there for Gintoki. Lina just hanging. This is a full single target Lina. Oh man, I'm so hungry. I'm not cooking tonight either because, I mean, my vacation started a couple days ago, but I'm heading out tomorrow, so we don't have a big pantry full of stuff. So it's going to be probably fast food or something delicious from elsewhere. Alright, here comes Apotheosis with the big hit. That's an easy first Lightbringer life. He manages to get himself into position where he's able to do that from Lightbringer Guard, which prevents retaliation for this turn at least, knowing that SuperBigCup is probably going to want to spend that last turn getting Oboro transformed. It basically is a way of buying him one extra turn of smoke and tanks. Takeda the bot is not really spamming chat messages. Those are real chat messages from Twitch. That's so the people who are on the YouTube chat are able to see what everyone else who's on Twitch is saying. So if you're only on YouTube and someone like Gold Magistrate is only on Twitch, you can actually communicate with each other without having to have both browsers open. It's fairly convenient. Helps bring the old community together, especially since there's like 80 people watching on YouTube and 30 people watching on Twitch. Technically, I don't think I'm supposed to do that, but I'm also a small potatoes streamer, so I don't think Twitch is going to get too salty about like an extra 30 people. So Sagney coming really close to doing big damage to that Lightbringer. I mean, that was big damage, big enough that a follow-up is going to take her out. That's very respectable damage. I think that just goes to one of the weaknesses of Templar Knights, right? Oh, it was the extra holy on demon damage. Interesting. The power of Apotheosis. But all that impressive damage is for naught if Valabar's not able to finish this off. This is what he's in here for. Oboro's transforming next turn. So Valabar wanted to kill a tank. Yeah. I'm so hungry. So hungry, my friends. What's it gonna be? Poutine? Wings? And Apotheosis doing the deed, finishing off that Lightbringer and showing us what a monster he can be. Okay, so mission accomplished so far for Valabar. He does still have his Oboro, or Cup does anyway, to potentially try to help him carry, start picking off the DPS so that Valabar's, onslaught of damage slows down. If he's able to slow down Valabar enough that he can't crack through the other tank, then he might still be okay. Timmy's, oh yeah, Timmy's is always open. But the actual, food they have there is not... I'm not a huge fan. They have a good wrap, actually. They have a good, Chipotle chicken wrap. But I like their tea and their cookies and their donuts. I think those, coffee shop donut places should stick to what they're good at, which is the coffee and the donuts. I need real food. So for Valabar's part, his goal is basically going to be to do what he already did to Lightbringer, except now apply that principle to Christian. The only problem is Apotheosis is out of gas for the next couple of turns. I mean, Gin is loaded up, but let's see. SuperBigCup has to make something happen with Oboro here. Gold Magistrate chiming in support of Valabar once again. Alright, here comes the Oboro. What's the first play? It's gonna be Gintoki. He has to leave guard range to make this happen. Does he get to reposition himself? Or does he just have to hope that no one's killing him? So, Gintoki easy dead, but is this Sagni gonna kill that Oboro? Apotheosis probably not. Valabar only has one shot before Christian moves back up and guards him. But if this Oboro goes down, then SuperBigCup is in super big trouble. We have Holy Word. We've seen this Sagni from Valabar put up some respectable damage. Oboro's not on terrain. His magic defense is not high. He's going with Apotheosis. Apotheosis not able to finish the job. Christiana's got to get that thing under guard right now. I would have tried with Holy Word over Apotheosis' regular attack, to be perfectly honest. We can't even blame backup timer debuff. That might have just been greed. Like, he might have just thought Apotheosis had enough juice to finish it off without using a skill and save Owlboy for something else. Maybe. Yeah, JJWF. I mean, if your Sagni gets counter-killed there, but you kill the Oboro, that's a good trade, because Oboro is the one unit here who gets around your tank. I think giving up Sag for Oboro is the right trade in this position. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And Valabar has position as well. Like, it's more difficult for Cup to get back into the middle of the map, too. So... really, just the fact that SuperBigCup still has his Oboro is the problem for Valabar. Oboro doesn't move through units, does he? So he's boxed in here. If he wants to kill Sagni, he has to do it from melee range. That's some respectable damage, single target damage from that Lina as well. Bringing Lightbringer down to 12% with Guardian Infantry. Well, I guess the Guardian Infantry were a liability there since that was Fireball, wasn't it? So here's the question. Are we just meleeing someone with this Oboro. Yeah, I mean, I think Sagni's Oboro's only possible target. Especially now. Okay, here we go. A melee chompage. Sagni easily goes down. Sagni being hurt there certainly didn't help. That looked like one of those situations where, like, Valabar threw the owl out here to get a big range attack in, forgetting that, like, the attack actually came from Sag and Christian. I'm not saying Valabar actually forgot this, but it looks like I've seen people make that play before. And, yeah, Christian throws some free counter damage out. And now things are much more difficult for Valabar. So here's the Lina versus Lightbringer Part 2. Takes the first life. And we have a quite safe Oboro here. The only thing is, Oboro doesn't have any skills for the next couple of turns. Although Lina is very nicely cycling her single target skills, and she's going to be taking her time chipping away this Lightbringer. Yeah, I agree, Moondoggy. I mean, seeing that third pick Oboro come out, I'd have to go look at the ban pick again to see kind of what Valabar was thinking for the first 3 rounds. But the icing on the cake was then allowing a second tank as well. That 4th pick Lightbringer gave SuperBigCup just the amount of stall that he needed. Because Valabar kind of had the right idea. Like, if you are going to give tank Rosen and Oboro, then you need to get in there and eat the tank ASAP. But that's hard to do when you have 2 tanks. Yeah, Cucumber, that's the other thing, too. He baited Oboro, got the bait, and then didn't convert. Man, Apotheosis, what an annoying unit. Guard dispelled, but who are you following up with? I hear Dobermans. Yeah, Lightbringer can kill Oboro. Okay, so Lina is out of guard. Lightbringer... Probably Lina's the least appealing target for Lightbringer to try to attack. He will have DPS for follow-up at the start of next turn. Isomeria, that's the only thing. Okay, he's going for Lina anyway. Leaving the Rosen exposed doesn't matter because Oboro ignores guard anyway. So yeah, you gotta go for this Rosen. Easy kill. Valabar just takes out the Lina here. Oboro is going to be waiting for his skills to come back. I mean, he could just regular attack the Apotheosis, but... Yeah, this flying unit is Apotheosis Echo of Light skin. He's got a, like, crazy Robo Guyver skin. So the other thing is here, SuperBigCup has been able to finagle and maneuver his way back into center, so fogging obviously is no longer an option, especially with Valabar with only 2 units. So Valabar going to look to get reset. Apotheosis with Air Slash at least has to somehow kill Christiane. Is her guard back up? Or is he exposing his Oboro? I mean, I guess Apotheosis is hurt. Is he just asking for Apotheosis to come and melee into this? I mean, he's going to. Apotheosis probably dies here to the counter. So now we just have tank v tank and healer. And SuperBigCup does have damage advantage right now. Yeah, you're right, Moondoggy. No sense in, like, not trying for that. But Big Cup did have the option of not leaving his Oboro out of guard. He could have done that from guard, or he could have waited. So I guess he figures he's ahead by 100,000 damage and he has a healer. He might as well just, like, park in mid for the next 3 turns? Thank you, Moondoggy. Thanks for coming out and picking up the slack in the chat for, you know, chat co-commentary. It's always nice to have excellent and knowledgeable players in the chat supporting me. Yeah, this is just opening up the damage lead for SuperBigCup. I think Valabar just doesn't want to run away. It's been a long match. You know, we're in game 3. It's not like this has been 2 quick matches. Valabar's been out here slugging it out. 3 nice long games. At least crawl to the finish line. Oh no, crawl into the fog. That's going out in style. Well, congratulations to SuperBigCup for making it to the top... We're in the top 4 now, aren't we? Wow. So next weekend, which is the weekend of Christmas Eve, I can really imagine, you know, especially European players logging into play on, like, 1 a.m. Christmas morning. Kind of bad timing, Z-Long. Get with the program. Anyway, so what we've got here, we're going to have Q versus Gaall. That'll be a very interesting match to watch. Based on what we watched today, Q and Gaall are both really smart, strategic, tactical players who play really solid fundamental games. So that'll be another one that's interesting to watch from a pure, like, technical standpoint. Then we've got SuperBigCup versus Jaden Nelson, which will be an interesting one to watch just because we so rarely get to see 7th Heaven members actually play their games. So, Jaden is also the sole surviving hope of 7th Heaven after having gone through, cannibalized a couple of his own guildmates. And, guildmate versus guildmate. Is Q in Mystery as well? I didn't know that. Or do you mean SuperBigCup is in 7th Heaven? Yeah, okay, Q, I didn't realize Q was in Gaall's guild. Well, I think that'll be the match to watch. SuperBigCup is good. Jaden Nelson is good. We just have kind of less good, solid information about them. There's also the hype factor that Q is a back-to-back champion right now, going for his back-to-back-to-back, and Gaall, who's been around for a long time, who has always put up consistently strong performances, almost always, but going all the way back. So Gaall looking for his first win. He's gone deep many times, and he wants to finally add that big trophy to his trophy case. So that's going to be it for me tonight. Like I said, I desperately need to go get something to eat, otherwise I would throw some replays on. But maybe that'll be a stream idea. Actually, you know, I shouldn't say a stream idea for next time. Because of the holidays, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get on to cast. Because I'm going to be, you know, hanging out with my family. That's what the holidays are for. And although you guys are like my second family online and a great community, we can spend time with each other not over the holidays. So probably that's going to be it for streaming until after the new year. Yes, exactly, Moondoggy, eggnog time. There's going to be so much eggnog. In fact, maybe I'll go pick up some eggnog tonight. But I will pick up with all of you after January 1st. We'll see each other in 2024. I'm still going to pop out a couple videos. I have some things scheduled for over the holiday break while I'm not here in the studio, but nothing live probably. So I hope you all have a very safe and happy and warm holiday season. I will catch you on the flip side. Thanks for coming out and supporting the stream. Happy Langrissing, everyone.